Welcome to the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast, where midlife meets growth, purpose, and connection. A place where midlife is not something to survive, but a season to thrive. Here, we're building a welcoming community of people who are right in the middle of life, sharing our stories, learning from one another, and discovering just how meaningful and powerful this season can be. Together, we'll explore the topics that shape midlife, relationships, transitions, health, parenting, careers, and the inner work that helps us thrive. My goal is to encourage you, uplift you, and remind you that midlife can be vibrant, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling. My hope is that you'll feel seen, supported, and inspired to live fully, grow bravely, and embrace the person you're becoming. I'm so glad you're here. Let's navigate midlife together on the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast. Welcome back to the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and this week we're continuing our Enneagram and Relationships series, where we're exploring how each Enneagram type shows up in personal and professional relationships, and how understanding one another better can lead to deeper connection, healthier communication, and more grace for ourselves and others. I'm a certified Enneagram coach and had the honor to learn and study with Beth McCord, founder of Your Enneagram Coach. The Enneagram is about compassion, understanding, and creating healthier connections, especially in this midlife season where relationships matter deeply and energy is more precious than ever. My hope is that it brings clarity and some very practical ways to strengthen your relationships. If you're new to the Enneagram or want to learn more, check out Season 7, Episode 1, where I give a more in-depth overview of the Enneagram. If you want to determine your Enneagram type, there's a link in the show notes for a free assessment you can take, which will help you to determine your type. We're continuing the Enneagram and Relationship series with one of the most loyal, complex, and deeply committed types on the Enneagram, the Type 6, often called the Loyalist or the Loyal Guardian. Type 6s are some of the most dependable people you will ever know. They show up, they care deeply, and they take relationships seriously. And yet, they are often perceived as anxious, pessimistic, or difficult, when in reality, they are deeply motivated by a desire for safety, trust, and connection. If you are a 6, love a 6, work with or lead a 6, this episode is for you. At their core, Type 6s are driven by a need for security and certainty in an uncertain world. They are vigilant, responsible, and highly aware of potential risks. 6s tend to scan the environment emotionally, relationally, and practically, looking for what could go wrong so they can prepare and protect. At their healthiest, 6s are loyal and committed, responsible, and trustworthy. They're courageous, steady, and excellent problem solvers. They're deeply devoted to people and causes. But when stressed or unhealthy, 6s can become anxious or reactive. They can second guess themselves and others. They might seek reassurance repeatedly and assume worst case scenarios. And they might struggle with trust and decision making. It's important to understand this. 6s don't look for problems because they're negative. They do it because they care. Each Enneagram type has a core longing, core fear, and core desire. The 6s long to hear you're safe, you're supported, you don't have to face this alone. They want to know they can rely on others and themselves. The 6's core fear is being without support, guidance, or security. 6s fear abandonment, betrayal, and being left to navigate danger alone. And their core desire is to feel secure, supported, and certain. In relationships, this means 6s deeply value consistency and reliability, clear communication, trust, and mutual commitment, and they like to know where they stand. If you look at a diagram of the Enneagram, it's a circle, and each type has another number on either side. Every Enneagram type is influenced by its neighboring numbers, known as wings. Wings are the seasoning to your type. They add dimension and more layers to your personality. So 6 could have a wing of a 5 or a 7. You can be evenly distributed across your wings, or you might favor one over the other. Sixes with a wing 5 are more reserved and analytical, thoughtful and cautious, and detail-oriented. They often do research extensively before acting and can struggle with overthinking and withdrawal. Sixes with a 7 wing are more outgoing and relational. They're friendly, engaging, and community-oriented. They often use humor or activity to manage anxiety, and they can oscillate between fear and optimism. On the diagram of the Enneagram, you may notice that each number has an arrow pointing away from it and an arrow pointing towards it. The arrow pointing away from the number is the type that a number goes to in stress. The arrow pointing towards the number is the type that a number goes to in growth. When under stress, sixes move towards the low side of a type 3. This could cause them to become overly focused on performance. They may seek approval to feel secure and may overwork to prove their worth. They may disconnect from their own needs. They may think, if I just do enough, I'll be safe. In growth, sixes move towards the high side of a type 9. They become calmer and more grounded. They trust themselves and others more fully. They might release the constant vigilance and find peace in the present moment. A growing 6 learns that peace is possible even when certainty is not. If you've been listening to this season and finding yourself thinking, that sounds like me, or that explains someone I love, I want you to know you're not alone. The Enneagram is such a powerful tool for understanding ourselves and the people around us, not so that we can label or fix one another, but so we can meet ourselves and others with more compassion, patience, and grace. As a certified Enneagram coach, I work with individuals and teams who want to grow in self-awareness, strengthen their relationships, and navigate this season of life with more clarity and confidence. Whether you're exploring your own type, working through a transition, or part of a team wanting to communicate and collaborate more effectively, Enneagram coaching creates space to slow down, reflect, and grow together. If you feel a gentle nudge to go deeper, I'd love to connect with you. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Nicole Stute or email me at themarvelousmiddleagepodcast@gmail.com. There's no pressure, just a conversation. Because understanding ourselves changes the way we show up in the world, and that matters. And with that in mind, let's jump back into this week's episode. At their healthiest, sixes show up as fiercely loyal partners and friends. They're protective and committed. They're honest and direct communicators. And they're always emotionally invested. And they're willing to stand by others in hard seasons. Sixes express love by showing up constantly and consistently. They think ahead for the good of the relationship. They offer support and protection, and they can be very dependable in practical ways. Once a 6 trusts you, they are all in. When stressed or feeling unsafe, 6s may question others' intentions and become reactive or defensive. They might seek constant reassurance, and they'll test your loyalty, often unconsciously, and they can struggle with indecision or doubt. They may be thinking, can I really trust you? This can be confusing or exhausting for partners or leaders who don't realize that fear, not control, is driving the behavior. If you're in a relationship with a 6, be consistent and follow through. Communicate clearly and directly, and reassure them with your actions, not just words. Invite them to ask questions instead of dismissing their concerns, and name your commitment in the relationship out loud. But avoid being vague or unpredictable, and don't minimize their fears. Don't say, just trust me, without evidence. And don't disappear emotionally or physically. With 6s, trust is built through reliability over time. If you lead or work with a 6, communicate by providing clarity and structure. Explain the why behind your decisions and welcome questions and feedback, and be transparent about changes. You can support them by acknowledging their concerns, giving them reassurance when appropriate, and affirming their loyalty and contribution. Encourage their confidence in their own judgment. 6s thrive in environments where they feel safe, valued, and included. If you're a type 6 listening today, hear this. Your vigilance is not a flaw. It's a form of love. And if you love or lead a 6, your consistency and honesty means more than you realize. Relationships with 6s are steady, courageous, and deeply loyal when we honor their need for safety and help them grow in trust. Thank you for being here today. If this episode resonated, share it with someone who loves or leads a type 6. Until next time, stay grounded, stay connected, and keep showing up with grace. Thank you so much for being part of the Marvelous Middle-Aged Podcast community. I'd love for you to follow the show so new episodes land right in your feed. I'd be so grateful if you left a rating and a 5-star review on the podcast platform you listen on. It's a simple way to help others find the podcast. And if there's a topic you'd love to hear more about, I'd truly love to hear from you. You can email me at themarvelousmiddleagepodcast@gmail.com or send me a DM on Instagram @NicoleStew. Thank you for listening, for showing up, and for choosing to thrive in this season of life.